Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this narration of the web novel Humans Don't Make Good Familiars, taken from Reddit with the author's approval. If you're new to this story, there is a playlist in the description, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Part 8. As soon as she hit the ground, the circle vanished, and I ran up to pick her up. Suma! She laid motionless and limp in my hands as I carefully picked her up and cradled her in my arms. Suma! Suma! I yelled. And after a moment, she slowly opened her eyes. Oh, thank goodness, I sighed to myself. That really hurt, Suma moaned. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened, I told her. Oh, it was my fault. I failed to realize how strong you actually were, and tried taking 10% of your life energy. Her voice sounded as if each word was a struggle to get out. It was a foolish mistake. I should have performed a free-flow technique rather than a portion one. It would have been safer, but I was overconfident. I thought I could handle it, Suma explained in pain, a tone of voice. Are you okay? I asked. She took a deep breath. I'll be fine. I just need to rest a moment. Suma rested in my arms for at least 30 minutes before asking to stand on her own again. Are you okay? I wondered. I'm fine. I was just knocked on my tail feathers for a moment, she replied. Maybe we should try again later and take a break for now. It's been a couple days. Let's go see if our order is ready yet, I suggested. Yeah, that sounds good, she said, sounding exhausted. I started walking towards the city, but when I looked over my shoulder, Suma hadn't moved. What's wrong? I asked. Could I ride on your shoulder? She asked meekly. Sure, no problem, I chuckled slightly, and carefully lifted her up and placed her on my shoulder. She was short, maybe a foot tall, but while she was perched, her head was above the top of mine by just a bit. We made our way back to the metalworker's shop, which was only about 10 or 15 minutes' walk from where we had been trading. Once inside, the nymph who we'd last spoken to a few days ago perked up and greeted us excitedly. Hello, my unusual friends. I have a part of your order ready for you. It was fun and a unique build. I all but needed to invent the tools needed to complete it, but I have it ready for you. It is the long one, with the wooden shaft, he said as he flew over to the table. He reached down and dragged the wooden end of the spear up to the edge of the table and grunted as he did. Here, let me help, I said and picked it up. Ah, thank you, he said. The spear was very nice, well crafted and sturdy, but thick enough that I was fairly sure that it would do some damage. It was almost as tall as I was. From the tip of the sharpened metal cone, which made the spear, to the base of the wooden shaft, it was about 5 feet long and had 2.5-inch diameter. Normally, a spear would have a blade at the end, but I opted for this one to utilize a cone-like rod, rather than a blade. That way, I could be sure that it wouldn't snap. It wouldn't be slicing anyone up, but I would be one heck of a stabbing weapon. The rest of your order should be finished in a few days. I must say, I've had a great deal of fun making such unusual things, the nymph said. Thank you, I said. As we were making our way out, the nymph gave a tool to sharpen the spear's tip if it got dulled. It was some kind of stone with magic symbols carved into it. I thanked him, and we left to go back to training. During the walk back, I felt the balance of the spear and ran my hand over the sanded-down wood and examined the tip. It all seemed to be well made and ready for testing. Once we arrived back at the clearing we had been training in, I looked over at Suma and asked, Are you okay? I'm fine now, she said, and flattened her way off my shoulder and onto the ground. Let's see what the spear can do, I said. End of chapter. Part 9. Let's see what the spear can do, I said. Start by giving the tree a few good whacks, Suma suggested. I walked over to the large blue-barked tree with red leaves and readied my spear. I gripped it tightly in both hands and then thrust it forwards into the tree trunk. With a loud thwack, I chipped a bit of bark and dug a full 2 inches into its side with the tip. I gave the spear a good jerk and wrenched it free. I examined the hole in the wood and then glanced over at the spear to check its condition. There was no visible damage on the metal, so I repeated the test a few more times until I was satisfied that the spear wouldn't break during combat. I don't know much about this kind of weapon, but I must say that I am impressed, at least, Suma stated. It did well, I told Suma. No scratches or dents, and the tip is still intact. I'd say it passed with full marks. It seems to be a devastating weapon. Tell me, what monsters must reside in your world to have need for such ferocious tools? Suma said. Well, there are bears and wolves and beasts like the borags, but I'd wager it was developed to fight other humans, I told her. So your species has many wolves as well? Suma asked. Oh yeah, all the time. In fact, I'm not sure if there's ever been a time in our history when war wasn't being fought, I said. Never? Asked Suma. Not to my knowledge, I answered. I looked at the spear and had a thought. Man, where am I going to keep this thing? Your house can't be big enough to store this. Suma shifted a weight on a perch. Yes, I'm afraid my home is much too small, but storage shouldn't be a problem. I know a spell that can help. Really? I asked. Suma flew over to me and landed on my shoulder. Bring it closer, she said. Then I tilted the tip of the spear about an inch from her. A moment later, a small magic circle formed around her, and then around my own feet, and then one formed around the shaft of the spear like a snake coiling around its prey. You will need to name the weapon, Jake, Suma said. Name it. Okay. I thought for a moment about what to call it. Destiny, I said, and the magic circles changed from a brilliant blue to a burning red, then faded away. Why Destiny? There was a famous spear from human history called the Spear of Destiny. I thought it fit, I explained. Hey, Sua, why did I just name the spear? I asked. I used a similar spell to the one we bonded ourselves with. Now you can summon the spear by calling its name, no matter where you are, she explained. Oh, neat, I said. Try it out, she suggested. I stabbed the spear into the ground and then walked a few feet away. Destiny, I said, but nothing happened. You're not talking to the spear. You're calling for it. Don't just say the words. Mean it. Give them purpose, Suma told me. Okay, I said. I cleared my mind and tried to imagine what she meant, calling destiny with a purpose and meaning. Destiny! I shouted, and the spear blinked out of sight, and then, with a flash, it reappeared into my outstretched hand. That was awesome! I shouted. I threw the spear at the tree and sunk it several inches into the wood, causing it to stick out straight. Then once again I called it back to me, and I repeated the process several times, cackling like a madman while I did. It seems like you're getting the hang of it, Suma said. I think so, but I just want to try something, I said, and tossed the spear a few feet away. I want to try summoning the spear without talking, I told her. You want to try shadow casting? She sighed with surprise. So you've heard of it? I just saw something like it on a TV show and thought I'd give it a try, I said. Suma nodded her head. It is an extremely difficult technique that takes even the best mages years of study to grasp. I doubt you'll be able to get it. Might as well give it a shot, I said, and closed my eyes to focus. I tried to focus on what Suma told me about the purpose and meaning. Then I reached out with my mind and in my head thought, destiny. I didn't feel anything at first, but my mind started filling with images, like strings stretching out into infinity. I would reach for the strings, then draw my hand back as they felt wrong, until I saw it, clear as day in my mind, a red string. In my mind, I reached out and grabbed it, then pulled as hard as I could. Once again in my mind, I called out for my spear and clenched my outstretched hand around a familiar wooden shaft. You did it, Suma whispered. End of chapter. Just a quick shout out to the T5 peeps. Bob the Dragon, Cat Crab Lobster, Data Magnet, Dark Machine, Bezic, Try Again 95, Fudic Yol, Astrea the Dreamer, Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Athelia, Meridian 117, and Jordan Bucksmorm. Thank you very much. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed. There are links down below, both to support this channel and for the author of this fiction. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic one, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.